Hey, hey, hey. Good afternoon. Excuse me. Noon edition of a little IG Live, here to answer some questions. Jake at Monarch Beach. Surprised he's not on the golf course. Hope you're enjoying yourself, my friend. Andrew, welcome, welcome. Tracy, welcome. Looking good, everyone. We are on the set for the 2-minute drill. We got stuff all over the place here, but it is a virtual set and it is incredible. So exciting. Hashtag noon edition. Let's get some questions going. Let's get it pinned up there. Guess what tomorrow is? It's Friday. Learn how to pitch. Get the exercise guide for pitching. Join me 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm at Clarity Experiences, the #1 virtual studio and speaking center. They are also the ones that I use for live production as well. But now they have this incredible LED virtual set that is killing it. Anyway, let's get to the questions real quick. Do you ever study yourself speaking? Yes, I study myself all the time because what you pay attention to and give intention to, what you think, say, do, believe in, the unconscious competencies that you have, all the different addictions, obsessions, characteristics, all these different things create the coincidences I want. And I want to create the coincidences, being the best speaker that I can be. So I study myself all the time and see what is clear, because it's not what I say, it's what you hear. And sometimes it's not what I say, it's what I hear. And so it's really important. Remember, if you haven't signed up to join us tomorrow for free, the pitch competition and training, it's just simple. David@dmeltzer.com. You want my book for free? It's David@dmeltzer.com. You want the exercises and guides for free? It's David@dmeltzer.com. You want the training course for free? David@dmeltzer.com. Or join my text community, 949-298-2905. Let's take another question real quick. Here we go. Do you have a trigger that you use to get yourself into the theta state? No, I don't have a trigger. I walk myself through the 7 different planes of what we have in order. It's a process, a 20-minute meditation that elevates my frequency, my vibration, to raise my awareness, to put my mind, body, and soul into a theta state. It's a level of vibration, alpha, beta, gamma, theta. And I practiced it for over 14 years, studied it, went to workshops to do it, etc. Go ahead, email me, David@dmeltzer.com. Go ahead and join the pitch 2-minute drill, and or get the exercises on the best perfect pitch, I call it. Anyway, I am looking for my friend Kyle. Supposedly Jake says he's here, but I don't see him. So if you can kind of look back and see, Kyle, are you here? No, not sure. Oh, there we go. I believe, no, it's a different. Sorry, guys. There we go. Interesting. We're going to join the CEO of G&B Digital Management, my friend Kyle, and we're going to talk about, hey, what's going on?
Hey, David.
How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me, Mr. Legend.
Wow, that's a huge compliment, but really here to see, one, if you have any questions for me, give us a little bit of background on how things have changed with the talent management experience that you guys have, and anything else I could be of service to you.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, so glad to be here with you. Thank you. You are the legend in this specific industry. Everything has changed, though, and so much over the last 30 years, 40 years, 50, like ever since somebody's been working with somebody else in an agent capacity. I think what's so interesting is like, we as a talent representation company, what we're seeing now is that sports stars, movie stars, everybody wants in on this Instagram money, on this, big time Instagram money. And so, a lot of it is just working with egos. And I think, of anybody to talk about how to deal with egos, whether it's on the digital plane or in the real world, it would be you. How do you master the ego, and how do you focus and channel an ego into being able to get great results, in your pitches and whatnot?
It's so funny. I have a ultimate ego guide, so I'll have to send you that. I'm happy to send it to anyone. But I think there's 4 steps in understanding that. And it was, when I worked with Lee especially, the great lessons, the light and the love that I found was in the study of the ego. And the ego itself and how it creates interference and corrosion, how it accelerates us in the wrong trajectory. And so the 4 steps that I've realized to help, especially in talent management, is number 1, we need to be able to identify it, right? And the ego, a lot of people have difficulty identifying because they can't define it. And so I spend still an extraordinary amount of time trying to identify the practice of ending fear, the fear that exists, the secondary fears that exist. So the long list that I have that I'm always triggered by, whether it's the need to be right, you know, I wish I could take back all the money, time, and emotion that I've spent trying to be right.
Right.
And, you know, when
Personally,
you start realizing, man, that we live in between literally timelessness and infinity. We're just like a blip, an instant between there. You'll stop taking yourself so seriously so quickly. But the need to be right, the need to be offended. You know, I always like to say about the need to be offended. I wish I could feed the world with its need to be fed as easily as the need to be offended is fed. Right?
Yeah.
You step outside, you want to be offended, it'll take you 0.0 seconds literally to get offended. That's how easy it is to be offended. But separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, worried, guilty, resentful, all of these things just waste your life. And they're going to waste your business, especially in the entertainment, sports, talent management business. It causes corrosions and interference. It causes void shortages and obstacles that are just illusions. So we got to practice, one, identifying it, not just in ourselves, but in others. And then two, this is where the ferocious Buddha comes in. We have to be able to stop it, whether it's our own or someone else's. And, you know, look, I've had a variety of things going on with the compressed times of uncertainty, and I've had to catch myself not only from my accelerated adrenaline flying through and trajectories of the wrong way, but just other people. They start getting so heated and saying things, and, you know, you got to be able to just stop. So in the talent management or agency business, it's not only being able to keep ourselves in neutrality, like Trevor Moawad teaches, and Russell, you know, Wilson and Warren Moon and all the majesty of calmness kings that are out there that are able to somehow not worry about the compressed times of uncertainty and chaos that are around them, but take complete control of neutrality and be in that emotional high and low, no matter what. Talent agent management, agentries, you got to be the same way. But worse, you got to be able to do that for other people.
right.
Right? You got to be able to do it for others. And somehow, you know, anyone that's married, you know, you got to be able to not only keep yourself in neutrality, but when someone else is in the wrong trajectory,
Your
stopping
talent
them.
like marriage too.
Exactly. And then the third step is dropping. So if we can get them to stop, how do we diffuse it, right? How do we drop into that neutrality? I have to interrupt myself. Marlena, my daughter's on there. I always promise if I see them, check her out. I posted my first Marlena video on my
Hey,
Instagram
Marlene.
today. She was like Olympian doing like a triple backflip, the Dundies from, what was the name of that, Back to School? Remember Rodney Dangerfield? I'm old. He did the triple Lundy off the pier. She does it on the ground. Anyway, getting someone back to central neutrality, not only yourself, but talking someone down is a huge asset in your business. Huge. And then the last part may sound obvious, but very difficult to, after that emotional activity, to get them to quickly move in the right trajectory. Because a lot of times after that emotional journey, they just want to stop and quit. Right. And now we got to get them to move in the right trajectory, to be motivated, and then transfer that motivation to an inspiration to allow them to share the vision and get inspired again, that they're not too butthurt over what had happened, and allow them to go back into ego-based consciousness, even though you went through the entire process. Now, I'm going to give this advice, and then maybe you can tell me kind of where you're at with your podcast and things that are going on. But, you know, probably the most common question that's asked of me about being an agent is, you know, how do I become an agent? Do I go to law school? Do I go to college? What do I do? What's it, right? Especially now. I'm going to give the gift to everybody right now. Only two things you need in order to be in talent management, talent agentry of any kind, right? Any kind. Only two things you really got to do. One, you got to be able to get a client. And two, you got to be able to keep them. That's it. Like, literally, that's all you got to do. Quit focusing. I always say, you know, I'm looking for the kid that can go into a bar, find the hottest girl or boy, you know, and not only leave with them after everyone's hitting on that person, but keep them as their girlfriend for years. That's what it's like to be a talent, because everyone's always trying to get your clients, and you got to keep them as well. So take that into consideration, capability. Now, you have a great podcast. Let me know, you know, I'd love to hear more about it.
Yeah, so I own the College of Influence. So me myself, I'm a talent manager, but I own an agency, one of the biggest digital agencies today called GMB Digital Management. And I just wanted to say everything like for your followers, everything is so like that was crystal. Those two things, it is exactly that. It's getting the talent and then keeping the talent. And then once you do that, you amass an agency, you know?
Right.
And now, so for me, how to evolve my agency life, of course, because a lot of agent work is just, it's a similar thing. It's negotiating the deal, it's keeping the relationship going. And if you're good at that, you got to start looking at other lanes. So with our podcast, it's College of Influence. So it's really, I took everything I know as a talent manager and an agent, and I put that into a platform so that people who are not represented, because in the world of influencers, digital talent, 88% of digital talent don't have representation. There's so many, influencers out there today. So I wanted to give them what I know so that they can better represent themselves, and put themselves in better positions when it comes to negotiation. But not only just to do that altruistically, but allow them, if they're getting better, it's going to level up our whole industry, which is a pretty young industry,
Yeah, it's
talent
very young.
management.
I'm like old man Floyd. I turned into a legend overnight because I'm so old. Being an older influence, it's amazing. One of the other things that is interesting is I've broken the digital influence and agentry side of things into 4 areas. First you have to teach an influencer how to appropriately capture what they're doing, because I think most influencers aren't capturing enough.
Right.
Right? They're not capturing enough of what they do, enough of their frequency, which is allowing them, limiting the strength of their signal. It limits the spectrum of
Yep.
their message, and it doesn't give a clear message or define their frequency well enough.
That's
The
one of the
second
biggest
one,
problems out there. Sorry.
right? Yeah, no, good, because I want your feedback. So you agree, right? It's
Yeah,
really
I mean,
important to capture
I
a lot
can't
of
even
content.
tell you how many talent that we've had, especially early on, that just didn't know their own direction, and they kept chasing what other people were doing or what they were seeing other people find success in, saying, "Oh, I want to do that too," or "I want to do that," but not what this other person wants to do. What is your message? Is really like that's where
Right.
it's
Who
at.
are you? Right. They're trying to please everyone, and then
Right.
they get no gain at all. The second one is just modifying. I think people get so confused by the multiple platforms that are out there and the multiple advice of you should just stick to LinkedIn or you should just be this. And I say that you should be an expert in modification. That if you don't have the talent yourself, you need to hire someone to modify what you've captured in order to fit not only what exists today, but what's going to exist in the future. And so if you're not investing in that, I think as an influencer, you're making a big mistake.
Right.
The other one is part of the talent agency part of the capability, which is amplification, right? Like, where do we amplify this? How do we go on other people's podcasts? Do we
Right.
still rely on billboards, print, radio, TV, which is a big part of my amplification? Because I think it's a huge advantage that I'm older, that I understand, most young people are like, I would never put something up on a billboard. I'm like, really? Because every day I can go and create digital content off of that billboard, right? I
Dude,
get two for the
you
price of one.
you would absolutely love this. So my wife's birthday was in June. I've got her a billboard right here in the middle of LA with her hat, her handle on there. And so everybody's loving it, still tagging it. It's still up, and it's getting those exceeding returns all the time and helping to grow her presence. So
Yeah, someone did a Dave Meltzer mural in Brooklyn about happiness, and it's probably one of the most posted, shared things that anyone's done, better than any video, even my daughter doing her Olympic tricks yet today. I mean, thousands of people are sharing that thing,
yeah,
in Williamsburg. Now, the last one is really old school, and it's one that I think comes with situational knowledge experience, and that's the perpetual nature of the content.
mm,
The young people today are used to the perpetual nature of binge watching,
mm-hmm.
right? That they don't understand my generation or olders, that we used to watch weekly,
Right.
right? You used to wait for it to come out, and
Yeah,
we don't watch things from 10 years ago or 20 years ago in series. Now we do. But I think that, creating a perpetual strategy for everything that you've captured, modified, and amplified is going to make a substantial difference in what you and who you are as an influencer, because you got to be persistent, but you also have that patience.
right.
And I use segmentation to build compound interest in my community. So I know that if I can get something that's loved by 2 people this year, that will tell 2 people to love it every year, that in 20 years it gets to be 2 million people, getting 2 million people. So every piece of content right now that I can get at least 2 million, I mean, 2 people to get 2 people to love it, as it doubles, eventually it'll be 2 million getting 2 million. And that's why there's a lot of content out there that's just old, right? That they just were on in 2008, 11, or 13, and they've had more time for compound interest to take place. It's just like a savings account. Your content is like a savings account. And so I think those 4 things, capture, modify, amplify, and perpetuate, getting a client and keeping a client, you can successfully literally be a great talent manager or a great influencer yourself.
No, it's so good. There's a skill you have, David, that I just wanted to call out real quick because I love it. I use it myself all the time. It's the list. Like when you create a list to actually give the information, man, everybody's going to remember like the 4 things, the 2 things. Like, yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, it's like a Jim Quick thing. Except for I'm not as good as Jim Quick because I can't alliterate everything I say. I couldn't do it all with like P's. He puts everything in number orders, and it's like passion, profit, profitability. You're like, whoa, how'd you get it? Not only do you list it out, but you got all the P's involved too. That's amazing. All right, last piece of advice, real quick. You deal with so many influencers. What's the golden nugget for the day?
The golden nugget is diversification. It actually speaks to something you were saying. It's like it's a bit of diversification of trying each thing that's out there, but without like really honing it. Like you've got to have one message, and you have to have a clear platform of where you just dominate. But you also have to evolve with each platform and diversify in the way that the platform is helping you diversify your interests. And what I mean by that is we're on IG Live right now, right? For the influencers from 10 years ago when Instagram first started, who are just still posting static photos, their growth has really halted out. And so for anybody on any platform who wants to continue to grow, you've got to diversify because your audience is getting segmented. Part of the audience right now is on Instagram Live. Part of it's on Instagram Stories. Part of it's on Reels. And if you don't evolve with the platform, then you're going to slowly shrink your audience. So maybe it's not about like being on every platform, Pinterest and Twitter and TikTok and whatever, but you got to evolve what you're doing, evolve your creativity to continue to grow with these platforms. And that's what keeps influencers really influential over time, because they got to keep with the trajectory of the technology. So
yeah, I think it's also respecting the scope, scale, and size of the market. That, when you realize that diversifying, I just hit 15,000, let's say, subscribers on YouTube, right? And it's growing. I hadn't focused in on it's doubling, and it'll be millions. I know it'll be millions, but I don't lose respect for the audience because for me, every day I put a video up, 15,000 subscribers, more people watch it, but 15,000 people show up with a ticket.
They're there for you.
It's a whole arena.
Yeah.
Like I'm old school mass gathering guy. I'm thinking every day, and other people scoff at it like, oh, you only got 15,000 subscribers, Dave. You should have, like Evan Carmichael, he's my favorite YouTube guy, right? Always, Dave, you should have millions of subscribers. I go, I will, at the right place at the perfect time, but give respect to the size of the audience. Give respect to, hey man, if I told you right now I had 15,000 people waiting to listen to you for 5 minutes, would that be impressive, and could you monetize it? The problem is most people are cheating themselves. They don't know how to monetize it, and by giving value, they're just trying to suck value from people without giving value. Anyway, I got the CEO of Blaze Pizza waiting for us, man. We got to do this again. I so respect what you're doing and appreciate you for everything that you do for these influencers.
No, thank you, David. Thank you for the leadership,
Right.
I said, legend. I'm following you.
You can represent me anytime, man. The legend loves you. Take care.
Again. Take care.
Thank you. What a guy. Kyle's the man. Kyle makes me smile. I don't know if that's alliteration, but it's rhyme. There she is, Mandy Shaw, the incredible CEO of Blaze Pizza. You got to love Blaze Pizza. Just innovating the way that we eat our favorite food, pizza. Hi, Mandy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm good. You're in a different setup today. You got all kinds
I'm on my TV show set. We're the 2-minute drill. We're filming for Bloomberg, and any day I can get Blaze Pizza involved. I thought of the other day, we were talking about whatever putting on the boxes. I said, I've done these trainings for years, my Fridays trainings for free to empower 1 billion people to be happy, and I've always done it in person, so I pay for lunch for everyone. So I should get a Blaze Pizza discount card for people that come to my training so I could give them something for lunch.
some free pizza cards, in fact. That would
There
be
we
awesome.
go. You heard it here. I got it recorded, I think. Anyway, we were talking on office hours as well in the transformation, and you're an extraordinary woman CEO, but CEO as well. And I say that because I have 3 daughters who I want them to have people to look up to that are like themselves. I find that people can become extraordinary when the ordinary is extraordinary. And I know that might sound funny. There's a lot of people that have no one that looks like them to aspire to, or I call it aspire through, because records are made to be broken. There's the sports side of what I do. But you guys are just growing before, during the pandemic, and after. And I just did a speech on pivoting and adapting. I was hoping that you could share some of your philosophies on how you were able to create, not only growth, but, I think even more of an adoption to your brand through, this time of uncertainty.
Sure. Thank you so much for that. I forget sometimes. I think we hit this point in our life where you're always 25 in your own head. So you're always just kind of this kid that is doing something, and then you look in the mirror and go, who's that? Um, I forget, and people will remind me that seeing a female CEO is so important to them, and just like because I haven't encountered somebody before, so I try to remind myself not from a place of vanity, but just from it matters, and the more people who even just see me or have a conversation, it is a great thing. So, and I have a 15-year-old daughter too, so well aware and probably push her a little harder than most. But yeah, no, the story with Blake, and I think my career in general has been focused on agility. Like I just got thrown into some, messes from a pretty young age and said, well, somebody has to figure this out. So why shouldn't it be me? And let's go try to do this. But it's always bigger than you, right? I am usually surrounded by a team of people where I'm asking questions and saying, talk to me. What do you think? Why do you think this? Where do we think things are headed? Trying to get industry input as well. And I collect super smart, right? This is what networking is all about, because when you just have a conversation, the light bulbs start to go on of possibilities, opportunities. And part of my background, I was a CIO for a brief stint in my career. And when I learned about agile development, which is just a term that is relegated to technology firms, but it really lives in everyday life now. Cross-functional teaming, fast decision making, and agility in itself so that you can pivot is the world that we live in. Um, my quote is that the half-life of everything is shrinking. So in the restaurant business, you used to be able to have a great concept and not touch it for 25 or 30 years, right? You just had to open more and you were good. That's not how anything works anymore, and you have to stay on your toes. So for us, the first component where we live is always in the humanity of it. It's in what is this doing to people, and how can we be a part of that in a positive way? So not only for our guests, but for our team members, who we don't call them employees, they're team members, because we're all on a team, and a dishwasher is just as important as Mandy Shaw in terms of the things that we have to do on a daily basis for all the pizzas and everything that we make. So really sitting back and saying, how do we make sure we're authentic as we go through this pandemic, and that as a brand, we're true to the persona of who we are. I care about you. I know this is impacting your family. What are the ways that we can be supportive? And as silly as it may sound, some of those things are restaurants are heart and food and love, and it makes people feel good, and it is a balancing to all of the other gross stuff that has been going on. So things like saying curbside carry out was not an option at Blaze until the pandemic hit. Let's go figure out how to implement this and do it super fast so that it's out there, it's available, people can still get their pizzas, and it's also, again, protecting livelihoods. Then you're not having to impact team members that this is their job in the field, the franchise owners of all of our local locations, really communicating with them too at a human level and talking about here's what we know and here's what we don't know. But the sooner we have information and the more tools we can give you means that not only were we able to survive the pandemic, we're actually going to thrive on the back end of it because we did pivot the business. We put an additional third-party delivery partner in to drive more sales. So what was last year an 80% dine-in business, most people came into Blaze, went down the line, made their own pizza, sat down. Maybe some of them carried it out occasionally, but it was really an in-restaurant experience, has now inverted itself, right? We've built overnight a delivery business that looks like the junior version of the legacy pizza that we don't aspire to be, that is out there anyway. And we are the newer version of that. So what's the quality way that you can get pizza delivered? What's the way that I'm not nickel and diming you because I don't charge you for every topping that you want to add to your pizza? I've just got one set price, and that's part of our mantra. So it probably would take me an hour and a half to tell you the list of things that we went and did. But for me, a lot of it was empowerment of our team, right? Who's got a great idea? How do we go test it quickly in the field and then roll it to the system and really talk to them a lot? Our franchisees, we had weekly calls. Our franchise council, we had daily calls where we were talking everybody through and collecting ideas as well, so that it really was a group effort to not only, like I said, surviving the pandemic, but now turning to a period where we're going to be able to thrive on the back end of it.
You know, every time I get to talk to you, it's such a pleasure because I'm a technology person. You're a technology person. Although my mom made me study history a lot, and she used to say, "I'm like, why you make me read, Ben Franklin's autobiography?" And she said, "Because human nature never changes." And one thing I liked about going to law school was I learned a lot about human nature, emotional intelligence, and there is this blend today of artificial intelligence, scientific, technological intelligence, and what's more important still, the emotional intelligence of our personal human nature, energy, and motion. And I find that the greatest companies and CEOs today have a blend. They can't just be, Steve Jobs, a complete genius when it came to the technology side of it. You have to also have this extraordinary emotional intelligence. As you're looking at the evolution of this blend, how important do you see the emotional intelligence in the future? As I see the artificial intelligence encapsulating human nature.
I think you have to, right? So my son is 19, my daughter's 15. So I do see a lot of things through their eyes, and I love it. The millennial and Gen Z, the beauty of what they bring is this just complete open-mindedness, but they're also pretty critical. If you're inauthentic or whatever, if you're just putting on a facade because I want to sell you pizza, they see through it so quickly. We are a brand of heart. We were one of the first restaurant companies to say, I don't care if you have tattoos up to here or even on your face or gauges in your ears. If you're awesome and you like to make great pizza, come work for me. And by the way, our uniforms are, wearing today like a t-shirt and jeans and just, rock it. I'm not going to put you in an apron or make you do something that feels uncomfortable or wear a beanie in the restaurant, or we do headbands now. Just, it's little cues that say, you're important and you really are a part of this business, and how do I communicate with you? And if you look at the best brands today, they have that connection. That's the success factor that will get out there. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge lover of data. The more analysis on what kind of pizzas do we make, right? We used to make them down the line, so we had an idea of what pizzas people were making but weren't really sure. Now, because of all the digital business that we've built, I actually know what combinations people are putting on their pizzas, which ones are higher and lower, which means I can use that to help you, the guest, get something that's even more interesting to you. And it sounds silly, but there's a heart component to that. The other side of it, and I give, again, some of the great credit for this, the restaurant business, and why I'm in the restaurant business, is it's one of the last places where you can start at the bottom level, a dishwasher, a server, or whatever. First of all, you can make extra money in college or in high school and do the things you need to do, right? To put gas in your car. But you can also start, and it doesn't require any additional MBAs, law school, right? No additional education. You can work really hard. I was going to say something. I don't know how PG your channel is.
Yeah, that's all right.
You can work really hard and become super successful. I mean, there are plenty of millionaires in this country who started by just opening a simple restaurant, right? And they started as a server or whatever. So if you're true to that heart component, I think people figure it out, because then your team members in the restaurant know it and they exude that quality, right? And you as the consumer, when you come in, you can't describe it, you can't put your finger on it maybe, but you just know that you feel good. The holistic experience of the quality food and that service component blends together, and it's competitive advantage. And it's just things that we should do. We should care about the environment, you know, and act as if we're human beings and not just here for the dollar. We are ultimately, because everybody has to be profitable, but there's a bigger cause that has to exist for you to really lean in these days.
Absolutely. There's a spirit of excellence that you feel in a company that in turn gets the success that they deserve. But I'm glad that you explained that anybody can, own a restaurant and build it like Blaze, because I was getting concerned that I had to be the greatest basketball player of all time in order to own a Blaze pizza. I found out LeBron's now up to like 10% of Blaze or whatever he owns. It's I'm from Akron, Ohio, so just
Okay.
a huge LeBron fan myself, and just likes attract likes. Let's just put it that way. That I find the best companies somehow end up with the best people, not just endorsing it, but truly involved in the business and helping to build that brand with what they do. Just real quickly, you have been through such a great journey, and I try to inspire, empower people to enjoy their journeys, to enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent without quit pursuit of your own potential. Can you share us one of the lessons that you feel allowed you to enjoy your consistent, persistent pursuit?
Oh wow. A lot of it is that passion and transparency. I developed reputationally this: if there's an elephant in the room, people don't like uncomfortable conversations, right? We don't like to manage people, because then if they do something wrong, you have to actually tell them and coach them through it. And sports is very much the same way, right? Um, when you're in a meeting and there's something that everybody knows and they want to say it, but you're kind of like, I'm gonna put myself out on a limb here. It's okay to put yourself out on a limb. I really have developed a career-long reputation of, it may not be the thing that everybody wants to talk about, but Mandy's going to talk about it. And I think, especially as a woman, and I don't play that card frequently, again, it's not my jam, but as a woman, though, there wasn't a roadmap. So a lot of it for me was just having a little bit more of an open field and saying, I'll say yes to anything. I did stuff in my career that many people would say, like, well, why? Or that just doesn't make logical sense. What it built for me, though, was this skill set of cross-functional background that I have a huge pot to pull from. So when I encounter a situation where I feel a little unsure, or I need some guidance or whatever, I've got a corollary across a lot of different things that I experienced because I was willing to say yes. And I didn't have this progressive, stair step of things I needed to do. And I talk to my kids about that a lot. My son is a sophomore at Northeastern, and I'm like, dude, don't think about this as I'm going to graduate and get one job and then get promoted. You have to think in a more open fashion about what this looks like to you. And by the way, technology better be a piece of it, because everybody should know or have some kind of vernacular around tech, because it's so strategic to anything, even your personal career. Yeah, tell me if I answered your question or not.
Yeah, you did. In fact, I was thinking that, they joke around about me that I was always a yes person. I tried to explain, I'm really a how person. Yes people are how people, right? My kids will even ask me, Dad, my young son, he's 10, I think I want a Ferrari when I'm 16. I'm like, awesome. How are we going to do it? Right? This is what you're going to need to do, but I'll help you, but this is what you're going to need to do. How are we going to do it? And I think how is dropped off a lot of times. And then the two things I think that you really, no pun intended, illuminate in the leader is, number one, illumination. You're not afraid to illuminate the truth. I love the fact that you're sitting there talking about your son and just saying, dude, I get like, I'm a little bit, my kids call me dude. I'm like, whoa, God, Dad, D-A-D, not dude. I'll call you dude now. I like that. I'm going to tell them that Mandy Shaw said it's okay to call me dude because she's calling her kids dude. That's awesome. But then humility, the hardest thing to do is ask for help. And, you are a humble merchant servant, a leader, a compassionate capitalist that understands how to build something for our entire country. And that's what Blaze represents to me. And I know why LeBron's involved with you. And I look forward to get more involved as well. And thank you so much for joining me live. I know you're extremely active, so thank you so much.
My pleasure. Good to see you again.
Great to see you. The
All
great
right.
Mandy Shaw. Check out Blaze Pizza. Not that I need to tell you. You know, some people I'm like, oh, well, where can we find you? We can find Blaze Pizza in 261 cities. Excuse me if I don't choke on my pizza first. All right. Remember tomorrow we have a pitch competition and training. Learn how to pitch, 2-minute drill. Fabulous set here with Clarity Experiences. It's an incredible virtual experience. It's unbelievable what we're able to do today and have a TV set that's just virtual, and it's incredible. I'm going to pick it up for a second and show you so you guys can see. That's how it's going to happen tomorrow at 11 a.m. If you want the pitch guide, go ahead. Email me. You want my book? Email me. If you want the training course, email me. David@dmeltzer.com. David@dmeltzer.com. If you want to join my text community, find out what we're doing, and get all the updates and join everything, it's still 949-298-2905. I'm going to do one more question. We got so many on here. I appreciate everybody. What have been your keys to learning to love the suck in everything you do? I use the 3 lenses to love what I'm doing, to learn to love what I'm doing. Number 1 is a lens of productivity. I look for the value that I can provide. I use a lens of accessibility. How accessible am I to others? And how am I accessing what I want? How am I receiving? And then finally, most importantly, the lens of gratitude. I'm always looking for the light, the love, and the lessons. Remember, pain is not a stop sign in your life. It's a turn signal. It's just telling you to change direction. There's a better way to go to something better to make your situation better. I promise you these philosophies, 5 daily practices, 4 pillars of values, all of these different things that Mandy Shaw, Blaze Pizza CEO, and Kyle, my dear friend, the talent manager, all possess, why they enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of their potential. Remember, join me every Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. All the replays are featured on Spotify, on Entrepreneur, on my podcast, The Playbook. You can get them all. Ultimate Ego, sales, everything that I've done, over 20 years of stuff. It's all up there for you for free. Join me at David Meltzer, David@dmeltzer.com is where you can email me, text me at 949-298-2905. Most importantly, everybody, see you tomorrow, but be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Have a wonderful day.